guys, it's Emma and I'm back today for you with another video. Long time no see, everybody. How y'all doing? Me, personally, I'm so glad you asked. Midterms are currently kicking my ass. And because I am riding on the high of finishing and passing one of them today, we're gonna be talking about all the books that I read during the month of September, and all of the books being a grand total of 3. In regards to quantity versus quality, quality won out, all right? She was the winner this month, okay? Because these 3 books were awesome. So we're just gonna be talking about the books that I read in September. Down below in the comments, let me know whether or not you guys read any of these books, whether you liked any of these books, what books you guys read in September, the huge, right? So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Now, the first book that I read for the month of September was Twisted Lies by Huang. Okay, this is the 4th book and the last book in the Twisted series, and it is about Stella and Christian. And Stella is a social media model, and she is trying to get her boutique up and running to make her own fashion line, and Christian is the head of this like cyber tech / security company, and he and Stella may or may not have a lot of tension between them. Some of it romantic, some of it sexual, you never know. I gave Twisted Lies 5 stars, okay? This is my second favorite book in the Twisted series. Twisted Games will never be defeated, okay? She stays there undefeated on her pedestal, okay? But Twisted Lies comes right up behind her. Look, I am a hypocrite born, bred, and raised. I understand this, I acknowledge it, okay? I have said millions and millions of times before that most romance books need not be 500 pages long, let alone more than 500 pages long, okay? And I still stand by that. However, Twisted Lies is one of the outliers. The sexual tension from Twisted Lies in here had me like scandalized at points. I was sitting there like clutching my pearls, being like, oh my gosh, y'all are at dinner and y'all are staring at each other like that. Oh my gosh, it was wild. And also Christian, look, I do love a dude that is down horrendous, all right, down biblically for this woman. If she said jump, he would roll out a tape measure and be like, yes ma'am, how high? That type of man. Christian is that type of man for Stella, and I love it. I love it so much. It is my bread and butter, baby doll, okay? You don't have to read the other Twisted books in the series if you want to read this one. It's just, you know, you do see some of the characters from the other books, so, you know, if you want that context, it's there. But if I'm gonna be honest, there are 2 couples specifically, and you guys can probably guess which 2, but there are 2 couples in the series that, quite honestly, I like better in the other couple's books than their own books. It was such a good he fell first and harder trope. I loved it so much. Because there are some romance books where the tension in it is just like so palpable, and you're like reading it in public possibly, and you kind of got like the book like this almost, and you're like looking around to make sure that nobody else is looking, which nobody is, girl. But you're like, oh my gosh, he touched her pinky. This is wild. The next book for September that I read was Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. Now this is about Nestor and Nena. They were both attached to the hip when they were younger, but then an accident happened when they were both 9 that caused Nestor to leave the ranch completely and never look back because he thought that Nena was dead from this accident. Turns out Nena isn't dead, and it's a lot of years later, and tensions between the Americans and the Mexicans have come to a boil because this is set during the Mexican-American War, or the start of it, and these tensions that have started to boil over have started to seep down to where Nena lives, and these tensions end up driving Nena and Nestor back together. I gave this 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed this book. Okay, I loved the romance between Nestor and Nena, okay? This is also, I would say, a he fell harder trope, okay? There are like sentences in here where he compares her smile to a gun and said that he would gladly step in front of that pistol every damn day of the week. And all I gotta say is, y'all, if he wanted to, he would. I did think that the romance kind of overshadowed the horror aspect a lot, which I did like the horror aspect. However, like I said, I think it was eclipsed a lot by the romance. And with that in mind, I think that this book is kind of being mismarketed a little bit. I would not at all market this book right here as a historical horror with a dash of romance. Okay, this book is more realistically a historical romance with a dash of horror. All right, there is horror in it. It's just, if we're trying to compare the romance and the horror, the romance wins out with it all. Okay, and it's not bad. It's just, if you're going into this book specifically for a horror aspect and you really want this book to be mostly horror, you're not going to get that. But that doesn't mean that I don't think this book is not good because of that. I really enjoyed this book. I loved the historical aspect. I loved the romance. I loved the horror. We get to see like vampires that have an original and very insidious take on them. Also, just the genre bending in here, okay, because this is historical fiction. This is romance. This is horror, and also a little bit of Western in there too, okay? So if that sounds up your alley, totally go for this. And I need to read more Isabel Cañas. The last book that I read for the month of September, which was also another beauty, was Our Share of Night by Mariana and Enriquez. All right, this follows a son and a father who have lost the woman that is the most important to them, the mother and the wife. And she was actually a part of a family that runs this very big cult called the Order that is obsessed with the idea of immortality. And the cult is using the dad, and the dad does not want the cult to essentially, when he's gone, use the boy as a type of like warped inheritance type of thing. So it's all about the son and the father trying to run from this cult. I gave this book, Our Share of Night, 5 stars. This book is dark, all right? There is some horrible and terrifying crap in this book, okay? When I tell you this book gave me nightmares, be not fooled, this book will mess you up, okay? But the horror and disturbing aspects aren't like in your face, like jump scare type of thing. It's really creeping horror, and it gives you enough of it and kind of like in a monotonous tone to where you kind of have to just sit with it and are like, oh, okay. This book has everything in it, okay? Like I said in the synopsis, we have cults. We also have sacrifices. We have ceremonies. We have psychic mediums. We have murders. We have kidnappings. We have tortures. We are set around the time of the Argentinian coup, okay? So it's also that. And I don't know, this book for me was just so tragic. Like all throughout, like the entire time that I was reading this book, I felt an immense cloud of just dread, okay? Just how hopeless everything in this book seemed, yet at the same time, that tiny little ray of hope that's like, okay, maybe the son and the dad will finally be able to get away. Maybe, just maybe, they'll find a way to hide. I'd say that this book is one of the best examples of money and power and evil all intertwining to be able to just commit the most horrible things imaginable. And I would say that if you're into cult books, okay, if you are really into cult books, if you like disturbing books, if you are just into, I don't know, kind of like a protagonist running from an organization type of thing, which I'm also into that, you'll really like Our Share of Night. Now, I know it's a lot of pages, okay, but I fully believe that this book is completely worth it. So you guys, those were all of the books that I read for the month of September. I hope that you've enjoyed. I hope that you will pick these up, because tragic as hell, immersive as hell, tense as hell, all right? Like, I'm talking, you might have to go to the chiropractor afterwards to get all this tension out, all right? You might just get hypertension. You never know, okay? So with that being said, you guys, I hope that you've enjoyed. I hope that you will continue to look out for more stuff on my channel. I hope that you guys are staying safe, and I hope that you guys have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.